Time for a Wonderfest preview. Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to another Interstellar Modeler. I am 1 week away from heading off to Louisville for Wonderfest. This is June 2nd of 2023, and I have all my projects now completed that I will be taking. I thought I would make a short video here just to give you a look at all of those projects and to give you a preview of what to expect in my Wonderfest video this year. Let's get started with taking a look at those models. Now the first one I want to share with you is a model I will not be displaying at the Wonderfest model show, but rather it's for Nick Tate of Space 1999, at least to have him autograph anyway. It was announced that Nick Tate from the show, who plays Alan Carter, will be at Wonderfest, and I was really excited to hear that because you just don't get a lot of opportunities to meet cast members from that show. But he is going to be attending. He's being sponsored by the guys at Space 1999 Props and Chips. And so I was trying to think of something I could bring along with me that he could autograph. It would make a unique addition to my collection. I always try to think of something different besides a photograph. And what came to mind is this model right here. This is the Comlock stun gun kit from MPC that was put out, I think, last year. And so I was looking at these models here thinking that he could autograph one of them. It makes sense to use the Comlock for this purpose because there's more surface area there for him to put a signature on. And so that's what I did. I went ahead and built the Comlock. Let me show it to you here. This makes a beautiful rendering of the Comlock. If you are a Space 1999 fan and have always wanted a Comlock, this is an inexpensive way to get one into your collection. The model only retails about 40 bucks. Beautifully detailed and just has all the markings and the decals that you need to put it together. I did not make a video of this build because it was a short build to begin with. I wasn't putting any electronics into the model. Since this is going to be just a display, I decided just to move forward with just building it since I was pressed for time anyway. I wanted to get it done. So one thing I will recommend to you, however, is to follow along a build by a guy named at least he goes by Arctic Modeler on YouTube. He is a subscriber to this channel, and he does an excellent job at showing you how he goes about building his. I used his color recommendations. He is kind enough to give you a breakdown of how he mixes his colors. And so what I used here was Tamiya's XF20. That's a light gray or medium gray, mixed in a 50-50 with some white and a drop or two of yellow. And the color just turned out beautifully. The other modification I did make was to the decal here, the ID decal that's provided for Commander Koenig. I cropped out his picture and replaced it with Alan Carter's picture instead, and of course had to modify the name to reflect his name, and so it worked out real nice. This was printed on white decal paper. Arctic Modeler does put a light into his. It's activated by this side switch. He installed a push switch, and it's powered by a 9-volt battery. By the way, this kit is designed for lighting. You can actually pull this piece off and gain access to this back panel by just, gain access to this back section by pulling off the panel. And so it is really set up for lighting. Again, I just decided not to do that since it's just going to be a display piece for me. So I will post the link to that video below. I'd highly recommend it. And he also puts together the stun gun and does a great job. He's a very meticulous build. You can tell he is a Space 1999 fan for sure. Oh, and by the way, if you are interested in getting a hold of the decal with Alan Carter's picture on it, feel free to let me know. As I've done in the past, I'll make the files available for free to any of my subscribers. Just send me an email to interstellarmodeler@gmail.com, and I'll send you both a PDF and JPEG format file, and you can use that to print onto white decal paper. Just a reminder, make sure you're using a crystal clear coating. This is the one I use from Krylon. It is an acrylic-based spray. This is what you use to seal down and make sure those pigments are going to stay in place on that paper. Now the next model I'm going to show you here is also a Space 1999 model kit. This is something I didn't talk about earlier as well. Actually, this project started way back in January. Now it's not that it takes that long to build this model kit, but this, first of all, is the 1/24 scale model of the Moon Buggy, yet another model that that MPC has put out in the Space 1999 universe. A beautiful little kit, makes a nice replica of the Moon Buggy. The project, as I said, started back in January when my friend Gordon Moriguchi had messaged me and asked if I'd be willing to put one of these together for him for his blog. He actually writes a blog about Space 1999, which includes reviews of model kits. And he was willing to send it out to me as long as I was willing to build it. And he wanted it built just straight out of the box. So that's what I did. I didn't do anything special with it. I built it for him. And by the way, I can provide the link to the write-up down below. But I knew I wanted to do something a little bit more with this model, and so let's take a look here. So I ended up adding some lights using some chip size SMDs from Evans Designs, and I placed it onto a base that is made from Foamular with the air dry clay that I used here to create the terrain. So this is very similar to what I did with the Land Ram, because as you can see, it also has a backdrop that was painted. In this case, however, I did not use oils for the backdrop. I ended up using acrylics, because you can make acrylics look like oils. And being short on time, I just needed something that would dry fairly quickly. The backdrop is inspired by the beautiful box art, and I think it does a nice job with tying everything together. And here is another look at the model. Very pleased with how it all turned out, and if you're interested in following a video of this build, I will be posting it on the channel after Wonderfest. I figure with all this Wonderfest stuff going on, I wanted to postpone that, and I still have a few things to edit regarding the video. But yeah, I think it turned out great, and it should be a nice display there at Wonderfest. So again, this is the 1/24 scale model of the Moon Buggy from Space 1999. And next is a model that I specifically built for Wonderfest. This is something I've been wanting to work on for some time. I finally got to it in January. And this is a nice 3D diorama here of the characters from the Jonny Quest animated series from the 1960s. The files for this diorama now are found on cgtrader.com. The designer's name is UEL. And he does just a lot of beautiful designs there from all these cartoons and animated series from the 1960s. And I plan on building a couple more of his designs in the near future. One of the things I did ask the designer is to whether or not he'd be interested in creating one from the animated series of Dungeons & Dragons from the 1980s, as well as a 1980s Flash Gordon. He did get those requests, and sounds like he's going to work on them, so hopefully we'll see something like that soon. Well, next I have here my most recent project. This, of course, is the figure of the $6 Million Man, again made using files from cgtrader.com. And the figure measures 9 inches tall and came with this beautiful base here with the logo of the $6 Million Man. Now, one modification I did make since posting that video is I repainted the shoes. The shoes were originally painted white. I thought actually they were white. I really didn't think much about the shoes until a few people had mentioned both on the channel as well as on my Facebook post that his shoes were supposed to be red. Now, I knew that the action figure came with red shoes, but I really wasn't 100% sure. So I did some research and tried to find clips that showed pictures of his shoes, but couldn't really come across one. Everything I came across was blurry. So I posted on Facebook whether or not people had the DVDs or a source that they could take a look at and see if his shoes are in fact, or confirm that his shoes were red. And sure enough, a few people came through. I got actually all kinds of pictures of his red shoes, and so I decided last night to repaint his shoes using the Pyro Red. They were from Monument Hobbies. So I even included the little white stripes there. These were the old Adidas shoes that were seen very commonly in the 1970s. And so I think he is all set to go to Wonderfest now. Next is a project I'm probably the most nervous about transporting. This, of course, is the diorama that I created using the Cosmic Scale Models replica of the Air Tram from Starfleet Command and Star Trek: The Motion Picture. This is the one that's lit with those filament SMDs there from Brick Stuff, and also 3D printed this back wall. So my wife is pretty good at packing things. She's confident she can get a container that will house this and keep it from getting damaged. I'm definitely bringing my super glue with me. Hopefully we just won't see anything happen to this model. The back wall is detachable because it's attached here with magnets, and I purposely did that for the sake of transporting this model to a show, because I do attend a couple other model shows here that are more local. And up next now is the Land Ram from the original Battlestar Galactica series. This is the 1/72 scale replica of that vehicle, and it's placed in a diorama that is representative of a scene from Gun on Ice Planet Zero. So if you recall, I molded the base just like I did with the Moon Buggy there, using the air dry clay, and covered it with products from Precision Ice and Snow, and also included the oil painting for the backdrop. And here we have a bust from Blackheart Models of Moff Gideon. Let me just show you some other pictures of this. This is a sculpt that's from their Micromania line, and as you can see, includes more than what the Star Trek busts do. As you can see, more of his torso, and includes the Darksaber. And this was painted with both a brush as well as an airbrush. I use an airbrush for detailing the armor, also for creating the some of the effects that you see with the Darksaber. And I used Vallejo paints for the face and skin tones, and I think it turned out pretty well. So if you're interested in getting a hold of one of these, the link to it is below. It's off their website there at Blackheart Models, and it's a really nice sculpt. It's a resin sculpt, it's not 3D printed, and it has a great likeness to the character. And speaking of Blackheart, I do plan on bringing 7 of the smaller busts from Star Trek, again, also from their Micromania line. I have displayed the others that I've done in the past in, I think, 2019, but since then I've done 7 others, and these include Core, we've got the Andorian, Baylock, Ruck, Vina, the Keeper from the Cage, and Captain Pike. And lastly, whether I bring this one or not, it's going to depend on how much room I have, but I thought it would be unique to display this little guy. This is, of course, B2EMO from the Star Wars series Andor. I really grew to love the series, and I wanted something like this in my collection, and I think he turned out pretty well. I created this little base that he sits on here using Foamular and a few other 3D printed pieces. Well, I hope you enjoyed this brief look at what I am taking to the show. As for the video that I plan on making at Wonderfest, it's going to be a repeat of what I did last year. Now, the first year I went to Wonderfest, I did a video that toured you around the show, but since it's the same show pretty much every year, I didn't want to repeat that. So what I did last year was I put together a few different short interviews, and I thought that worked out really well, so I'm going to do the same thing this year. One of those interviews is going to be Bill Krause. I've already reached out to him, and he's agreed to spend a few minutes with me there. Bill is that modeler who is a wonderful scratch builder, and his designs showed up in Picard Season 3, so really exciting that happened for him there. He's definitely hit the big time, and his USS Titan design was absolutely amazing. I know he's been scratch building a new starship, which I'm hoping that he brings to the show as well. So we'll catch up with him and see what he's up to, and I have a few others lined up as well. I'm really hoping this one in particular I'll be able to get a hold of, but I'm not going to mention too much about him because I'm just not sure that's going to come through, but it'll be exciting to have him on the show. And of course, I'll include a slideshow of some of the models that will be on display there. I can't possibly include all of the models because there's so many entries, but as I did the last time, I'll photograph and record some of the models that I'm drawn to, and then string all those together into a slideshow that I can share with you. Okay guys, well that's going to do it for now. In the meantime, what you can do is wish me some luck here to get all this stuff packed together so that I can get to and from the show without any incident. So this is the most I've ever taken to a Wonderfest, so hopefully I can get everything squared away to where I won't have any problems. Alright guys, well thanks again for watching, and if you happen to be at Wonderfest this year, please stop me if you see me. I'd love to meet you. I'll be walking around the show on Saturday and Sunday. Take care guys, and I'll see you in the next one.